Welcome back to Brewbound's video coverage of the beer industry. We started doing this after the COVID-19 pandemic really turned everything upside down, and it's been a really great way to engage in some storytelling. And we just talked to beer industry leaders around the country, wherever they are. So we have got the whole East Coast covered today. I'm Jess Infante. I'm coming to you from Salem, Mass. I haven't been able to go to the office in like 2 months. So this is kind of how it's been. Our guests today are CEO and owner of Shipyard Brewing, Fred Forsley, and company president, Bruce Forsley from Shipyard. Shipyard is based in Portland, Maine. That's where Bruce is, but Fred is lucky enough to be in Florida, which is where our other guest is, Jeremy Roberts, the president, CEO, founder, everything you can think of at Brew Theory in Orlando, Florida. So these guys collectively made news this week by announcing a new arrangement in which Brew Theory is going to license and produce shipyard products down in the Sunshine State. So, Fred, Bruce, what can you tell us about how this all came to be? I don't know which one of you wants to take that first, but
we'll let Fred go.
Yeah. So I've known Jeremy for quite a few years. I used to have some fun when he was at an accountant downtown Orlando, and you may remember we had the brewery in the Orlando airport, and for a number of years, and then we relocated it to Clearwater, Florida, and I've been brewing in Florida really since the early 90s. And long story short, there's been a variety of opportunities and challenges in Florida. The funny, Bruce will remember when some beer people thought craft beer would never sell in Florida. Well, Jeremy and his company have the same kind of passion we have for Florida, and a strong belief in the craft business down here. And the in the last 3 to 6 years, it's just exploded in Florida. And to be honest, we're looking as we evolve. I'm getting a little older, for people that we can collaborate with and grow our brand. We've been able to do that in other parts of the world, like the UK. And so when we were looking to expand our brewery in Clearwater, we'd kind of put it in a brew pub setting, needed to grow it. We have a great brewer, Bobby Baker, and he basically said, why don't you talk to Jeremy again? And long story short, we've been in the midst of putting a deal together in which we're going to license the brand to Brew Theory, and then we're going to collaborate and grow our existing brands and see what can happen in the future. So it's not an exit in any way in Florida. In fact, it's a way for us to hopefully keep growing in Florida long into the future.
It definitely sounds like a big investment in the state. Jeremy, I know Brew Theory is really specializes in contract. Have you done any arrangements like this before? Because this does seem pretty unique.
No, this is definitely unique. I mean, this is something that I've kind of looked for since I started the Brew Theory project. And, I'd always wanted to reach out to Fred. I just wasn't sure on the timing. And then, he kind of came to me and talked about a few different things on his expansion. And that's kind of when we laid it out. We actually sat here in this conference room and talked it through and said, what would the contract brewing look like, and how I could grow the Shipyard brand, and what he already had established in here in Orlando and Winter Park. And thought it was a good fit. So we just started talking numbers, put things together, talked about a growth strategy, a sales strategy here for the state. Him and Bobby, like he had mentioned, have already put a good amount of time and boots in the ground in by building the brand, both Shipyard and CDawg. So for us at Brew Theory, I mean, it's a good production play right out of the gates, fills a lot of space for us. And I think with the licensing deal, it enables me and my sales team to help build the brand, like Fred and Bruce talked about. I think Shipyard has a lot of juice left in the tank, and I think we can help really grow the brand. So I'm excited about it. So is my team.
That's great. I mean, this is definitely going to give them experience that they haven't been able to get before. So really, How big is your team?
My team, we have 8 guys here, so not huge. And we have an external sales force of about 3 guys. So our facility here, we run about 13,000 square feet, and we max out capacity probably 23,000 barrels annually. So it's good size, but it's not monstrous. It's easy to manage, and the team here has a ton of experience. So I brought on, Fred had mentioned Bobby Baker. I brought him on to help me out, and he's been an asset to the team.
Great. How many barrels do you guys usually do in Florida for Shipyard?
We had been about 7,000 or 8,000 barrels, and it's actually interesting thing that happened with the consolidation of brands, like Lagunitas selling to Heineken and some of the others. The focus distributors give you have been interesting with what happened with the Budweiser network. We went to the Bud network recently, so it's decreased a little bit in Florida. But actually this year with Pumpkinhead orders, it's looking like we could be back. If we didn't have COVID, we'd be back on the upswing. I'm sitting here in Treasure Island, St. Pete Beach, and we have a 10,000 square foot brew pub here. And our goal is to kind of keep the brew pub growth going in Florida. But our best year was pushed 8,000 barrels in Florida.
Great. So there's lots of runway to ramp up.
Yeah, and the key is you can expense all the sales efforts in Florida. So makes it all, instead of taking vacations. Doesn't make Bruce very happy, but I'm down here.
And how many brew pubs are there in Florida?
We have three, one in Clearwater, one in Treasure Island, St. Pete, and then we have a new concept. We just did a Cantina, a Mexican concept in Gulfport, Florida. So our goal is to potentially do more in the future, but for right now, that's three. It's three here, and then we have a total of 17 locations,
which is a lot.
So COVID was kind of an experience, and now we have three reopened, and hopefully by June, actually July 1st will be the last one we open on Peaks in Portland. So.
And obviously, Jessica, the production in Orlando saves us dramatically on freight, improves our freshness, can help supply the pubs, and yet still the marketing team up in Portland and the chain sales team will be there to support their organization. So it'll definitely be a collaborative effort.
That's great. There's a lot of synergies to be had there.
Yeah. And the one thing that Jeremy told me he loved Shipyard Export, which was our original first beer we ever brewed. So that, at the end of the day, if you can, the funny thing about Florida, we did a reverse osmosis machine that can kind of match any water in the world. And Bobby Baker's been able to match the exports. So with Brew Theory and his facility there, and we're feeling pretty confident that when we have that export, it'll taste the same as it does in Maine. So we're hoping.
That's
important. It'll be a little better, but
for clarity, that's Fred's firstborn.
The next generation's a little cockier. We'll get it. That's good. I hope so.
Yeah.
Funny. And now will Brew Theory take over the Florida brew pubs as well?
No,
you guys are
we're gonna stay on that, and but we may collaborate on future things in the future and see where that all goes. But there's a lot of excitement around their goals and growth that they have, and I think at the end of the day, it kind of dawned on me this might be a unique strategy, and if this strategy works, maybe we could employ it in some other locations around the country where some local. I mean, everything is uber local, and 20 years ago or 15 years ago, there was a real void of quality brewers and quality equipment, and we were lucky enough to have Alan Pugsley as our brewmaster and partner, and for many years he kept the quality there. And recently, in the last 6 years, I think you've seen this explosion of breweries around the country, and so there are places that never had really great breweries, and I think that some may find, like in Jeremy's situation, a passion to want to have an additional brand that they can focus on, that they would have more control of and ownership of, and we may try to do that in some states where we haven't been as strong, maybe the Carolinas, or partnering with other people. If this model can work, my goal is to never sell Shipyard and keep that brand for generations and keep it going. So if we can do that through others that have the same passion for the spirit of the brand, that's what I'm looking for. So we'll see in the next 6 months to a year or so, it may be something we get aggressive and go out and try to search out others that may have them. And it needs to be somebody that's of the same quality and caliber and passion that Brew Theory has and Jeremy has. So that's the hope.
That's great. I mean, you definitely need to align on all those things in any kind of, business partnership arrangement. How many states is Shipyard in?
Brucey, right now, how many are we shipping to?
We're in about I think we're in 42 states. Wow. Admittedly, some of those states are only distributing during Pumpkinhead season, and some of those states are fairly low volume, but we really consider ourselves a national brand.
I mean, absolutely. You've been part of the craft beer landscape for so long that you're really one of the pioneers. So it definitely makes sense that you're that widespread. And I know Pumpkinhead is huge. So one thing I have really enjoyed seeing you guys do is expand into a lot of different beyond beer offerings. So, I mean, let's talk about some of those options that are out there now. Your tea infused beer, new hard seltzer, getting into some spirits. What's the experience been like expanding the portfolio?
Well, I could talk to the tea infused beers. We collaborated with Tiesta Tea, an herbal tea company out of Chicago, Illinois, to produce an alcoholic beverage that can be part of a healthier lifestyle. And the teas we're using are herbal teas. They're botanical blends of herbs and flowers from around the world. And in the two brands, Fireberry and Maui Mango, the tea blends are specifically for good health and helping your immune system. And what better time than now to drink something that'll help your immune system? Exactly. So the Fireberry is rose hips, rose petals, cranberry, strawberry, hibiscus, yerba mate, blended with our base wheat ale. So it comes in at a fairly low caloric count and a fairly modest alcohol level. And yet it is full of richness and flavor and fruits and flowers and healthy for you at the same time. And on the CDawg seltzers, this is a relatively new concept for us. We just released 2 weeks ago under blueberry, black cherry, and raspberry. And wow, what a tremendous response we've gotten immediately. Going to show there is a huge opportunity for regional seltzer. Even with the big players dominating the market, there is an opportunity for craft regional hard seltzer.
Really interesting. What have you been hearing from the field so far?
Immediate reception. As long as the price point is competitive, you're not at a real disadvantage. The biggest challenge to us really is the retailer who's allocated so much space to the big national brands that squeezing in a little bit more for regional seltzer has been a bit difficult. But where we get the distribution, we are immediately getting the pull. Wow. And we're also getting a ton of chatter on social media, which really speaks to the generation that's adopting this product. And it speaks to the interest level in it because the CDawg pubs are visible. The CDawg brand is kind of lighthearted and friendly, and it's fruit-based, so it's a perfect match for seltzer.
Had you thought at all about launching it under a new brand, or was it always going to be in the CDawg family?
Well, CDawg, I think, in my opinion, humble as it may be, has a national reputation as a leader in the fruit beer category. So it seemed to us to be a natural extension to go into seltzers, which are fruit-based. So no, we did not think of a new branding. We did not think of Shipyard. It was CDawg all along.
That makes so much sense. I know up here in New England, CDawg Blueberry is, the time is coming.
An icon.
Yeah. And then for your seltzers, what is the calorie count and the ABV on that? That's one thing I've been paying attention to quite a bit lately, is seeing who's differing outside of that 100 calorie, 5% ABV.
Yep. So as you know, the calories are related to the alcohol level. We are 5%, we are 100 calories, but our uniqueness is 0 grams of sugar.
Wow.
And so if you compare a CDawg seltzer up against a Truly or a White Claw, you will definitely perceive much more sweetness in those two national brands. We're also using cold fermented sucrose and beet sugar for the sucrose base. So it is it's hard to call an alcoholic beverage healthy, but it's healthier. How's that? It's a little drier, a little cleaner, and definitely a little less sweet.
I am going to have to go seek some out. Is it in the full national footprint?
No, actually, like I said, 2 weeks ago, we started this. It's in Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island, and Connecticut, and Florida at the moment. And obviously, production is a little bit of an issue because we don't have any forecast to base it off of.
Right.
But we are trying to enter markets slowly and methodically.
Makes a lot of sense. Jeremy, will you guys be producing the non-beer products down at Brew Theory?
We will. Yep. We're looking into that right now to start just putting together a brew schedule for the seltzers along with everything else that we have. So we'll dive into that as well. We've done some seltzer, some NA products for other brands before, so we're equipped to do that.
I was just going to ask what kind of changes you had to make. I mean, I I know you guys have so many, brew pub locations in the on-premise, and COVID has really been like a tidal wave that knocked everything out. I mean, how have you been navigating the situation? I know we're going to reopen a few, but what's the general feeling been like in that part of the business?
I can speak to that. It's been, it's kind of like that party you were going to in high school or college, and everything's going wild and everybody's having a blast, and then all of a sudden the lights came on and people scattered, and then you just wondered what happened. It's just like, for Christ's sakes. The economy, everything was going great. We had probably a record year in our brew pubs, and we're actually, even though there's 6,000 new breweries in the country, we were having a lot of good success with brands like Monkey Fist and some of the new brands. Everything was, we've gone through a variety of transitions in our company. So when the brew pub, we had just opened a new brew pub, which was a bowling alley concept in a 15,000 square foot location in South Portland, Maine. And I literally was flying back and forth between Florida and Maine. And we opened up another location in Gulfport, the Cantina, Mexican concept. And we're brewing some Mexican lagers. And literally within a 3-week period, went to 3 different openings at good spots in the chamber, ribbon cuttings. And we just, I don't want to say, when you're feeling like everything's going great, it's like you got to look out because something else can happen. Then when it happens to the whole world, it's even another play. But it's like somebody flipped the switch off, and so we had a lot of energy, money, commitment to these openings, and at the same time, the ski resorts. We had the brew pubs up there going well, and the day they called and said that they're closing the ski resorts was the day like the music died. It's like literally. How can they close ski resorts? This is the healthiest sport, the healthiest people, the healthiest. I can remember just saying, no, that can't even be true. And I keep saying to my wife through this whole thing, we're going to wake up and this is just all going to be a bad dream. And then you filed for the PPP and the funding, which was in my opinion, I think, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, whoever, thank God we got that, because I think most of us would be we definitely would have been in deep trouble. I think some of the bigger companies weathered it very, very well and benefited from the retail sales. Honest about it, we did not benefit like at the level that the big guys did. And our brew pubs did not benefit. And we had just great people. We ended up, everybody went on furlough and worked maybe $100 a week, that type of thing, and kept in touch with each other and Zoom calls every week. And Bruce and the team kept everybody together. And long story short, a lot of sleepless nights. And I think anybody that's in this business that didn't, you're either not connected or you've got a different ability to deal with things than I do, for sure. Because the impact, the fear of whether you're going to get unemployment or anything else. Now we've reopened Treasure Island, we've reopened the Cantina, and people are coming back slowly. It's not like they're following back and you're at 50% and the numbers are low, but at least you're open. And now Maine and New Hampshire over the next 30 days will do the same thing. And I'm encouraged, that with if they can amend the PPP plan, that we can come out of this thing. And I'm very fearful for ourselves and a lot of people on how many locations can survive. I mean, the consumers have to continue to support, and there's a lot of paranoia out there about this thing. And I just pray that people come out and support the local pubs. And but I think, at the end of the day, they got back on cruise ships after the Titanic sank. So hopefully people will go out and enjoy and support their, love them to support us, but support their local beers and support their local brew pubs and support their local tap rooms and restaurants, because at the end of the day, it's been a nightmare, really. And I don't know how to, for us, it's like, it's a little overwhelming, but I believe that the future, will be bright for us. I think it's going to take a year, 2 years, 3 years to get through all this. And that's the nice thing about Jeremy's team and other people, as I've been able to connect with people. I talk to the UK quite a bit and other people around the world. And America, I think, has a lot more optimism and strategy to get through some of this stuff. But I think, the UK is not going to open up their pubs till July. So hopefully Boston can get reopened. We have some great accounts in Boston, the Beantown Pub, and some of these others that are staples for everybody, and they don't know when they're going to open. So at least we have a target date, and we can hold on to that. So sorry to ramble, but I think it truly is a time, and it's affected everybody. It's not like a hurricane in Florida or a disastrous ice storm in Maine or whatever. And we've lived through all those, but this is really something that there's nobody that's not affected. And we just heard friends of mine own whitewater rafting companies, and I just got a text half an hour ago they're going to let them open up whitewater rafting in Maine. And so every little thing is an excited thing, because another friend of mine had to close a summer camp down, which was a very successful summer camp in Maine. And when those things happen, it's like, oh my God, road races, the Beach to Beacon got canceled. But long story short, we're excited about opening soon, and we're hoping that people will get back out to eating and drinking and socializing with distance, soon.
It's unlike anything we have ever seen, which is the most stupid and cliche thing one person can say. But
right.
If you had ever asked me what could potentially damage how, the craft beer industry's growth lately, I would never, ever, I didn't have global pandemic on my bingo card. So
no, nobody did, I think.
No one did. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, we've seen,
but at the same time, we've all, Bruce, everybody have teamed up and worked together, and we've kept the brew pub we've kept some places open for retail and curbside, and I think everybody's done amazing things. I'm down here in St. Pete, and one of the local restaurants we support has fed the basically everybody in the hospitality business every day can go there and pick up a meal to go, which
wow, that's great.
Restaurant. It's things like that, those stories, and humbling to see what happens out there where people get and bond together and work. And hopefully, come through the summer, we'll see here up in New England, hopefully Cape Cod opens up, and hopefully, Salem opens up, and hopefully these towns, otherwise it's not good, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's also made us think a little bit outside the box, Fred, particularly when it comes to curbside sales at our retail store. We offered 2 live lobsters and a 6-pack of beer for $19.99, and we sold over 1,000 lobsters. So
wow.
Yeah, and we've done a number of other promotions with a make your own pizza kit and a 12-pack of beer and 2-for-1 deals, and it's really trying to make ourselves stay relevant to people and on top of mind, and it's actually working. We're selling some beer.
We should send a truckload of lobster down to Jeremy. Have a big lobster feed and some beers out in front of the Brew Theory.
Yep.
Jeremy, you're in. Give me the address. I'll send you the lobsters.
You got it. It's coming your way.
Oh, that's like the one thing that's been really heartening for me is to see how much innovation and creativity there is out there. So I'm really glad you guys are able to offer those promotions. What a great idea. Bruce, have you guys done any, have you leaned in a little bit more to packaging? If you had to order like any more bottles or cans, or is there any kind of, refocusing on the off-premise trade?
Yeah, Jessica, we actually started that a couple of years ago because of the proliferation of small breweries has made it very difficult to maintain your on-premise distribution. And loyalty, unfortunately, has become very fleeting. So we have, as a long-term strategy, have focused more on grocery, chain sales, retail, and developing new packages of 4-pack, 16-ounce cans. We've done collaborations with a foundation Fred is the head of called Candace Cares, which supports families in need of help during a cancer crisis. And also the Maine Cancer Society. We're creating a beer that's going to give back to Maine cancer. We also created on the beer celebrating the bicentennial celebration of the state of Maine, which seceded from Massachusetts 200 years ago. So to answer your question, yes, we are focusing on new packages, innovative packages, and retail.
Really smart. Great. Well, guys, this has been such a really interesting chat, and crazy times out there, but hopefully we'll all be able to get together over a beer under happier circumstances soon, right?